Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Victor Umeh.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Victor Umeh, OFR. I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise with great emotion to second this motion brought by our brother, Senator Jiya. I say so because we all saw what happened in Mokwa and other parts of Niger State that claimed 300 lives that were counted. Mr. President, this is a very monumental tragedy to all of us as a nation. But I rise to say that...
Chief, please restore order.
I rise to say, Mr. President, that this was a disaster that was to come based on warnings as contained in this motion paper. And people left what they should do, and this flood now came and swept away lives and properties in this monumental proportion. Mr. President, we recall that in the 8th Senate, flooding was battled in this Senate because there was devastating flood everywhere at that time. This is June, and we still have the peak of rainfall ahead of us. And this tragedy has occurred already. It calls for preparation for the agencies concerned to begin to put measures in place, because this is just the case of Mokwa. The whole of the River Niger waterway and the River Benue waterway, by the time we reach the peak of the rainy season, monumental things will happen. It takes us back to the earlier call for us to dredge our waterways. If we don't put money in dredging our waterways, we'll continue to experience flooding that will ravage communities, destroy farmlands, and we will be caught napping again. So I want to use my contribution to thank NiMET for sending out these warnings. But our government must take very serious action in dredging our waterways. The bowels of our waterways have become shallow. And once it rains heavily, the water will immediately overflood their banks. The rivers get into the communities and ravage lives. So I sympathize with my brother, Senator Jiya, people of Niger State, particularly the governor, Alhaji Bago, who is working very hard to make Niger State an agricultural destination by the great things he's doing. I've encountered them before. So I want to sympathize with him. And indeed, government of Nigeria, because this thing is government that will address it again. Let us begin now, before the peak of the rainy season, to see what we can do. Let us vote money. We need to put money in the dredging of our waterways, so that this thing will not be a perennial problem. Every year, we experience flooding across the length and breadth of River Niger and River Benue. So I thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity, and it calls for grave concern for all of us. Let's
thank you, Senator Victor.
Let's put money.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's very important, so that we'll stop crying.
Thank you. Let's go to the prayers.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President.
Let's go to prayers. Prayer 1. Observe a minute silence in honor of the victims that lost their lives in the flood. Those in favor of the prayer, please say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Urge the federal government to investigate the Mokwa flood and other parts of the country with a view to providing long-term solutions, including improved and sustainable flood control infrastructure and early warning system to forestall future occurrence. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Further urge the federal government to prioritize prompt execution of the relief packages promised during the visit of the Vice President. Those in favor of the prayer, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Also, all the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, direct all relevant authorities to resettle people living along both active and inactive river paths and banks, water channels, and erosion-prone areas, as well as intensify efforts to provide additional food and other relief materials, such as medical care, temporary shelters, and clean water to the victims of the flood. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Mandate Joint Committee on Works, Housing, and Urban Development to visit the affected communities to carry out on-the-spot assessment of the disaster, as well as monitor implementation of FGA relief packages and report back to the Senate. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Amendment of the prayer? Go ahead, Mr. Victor Umeh.
Thank you, Mr. President. This prayer 5, I want to add that to mandate the Joint Committee on Works, Housing, Urban Development, and Water Resources, because this is a problem
and water resources.
And water resources.
Seconder, please.
Joint Committee to include water resources, Committee on Water Resources.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, being as Yaro Adama South, I rise to second the amendment of the prayer as moved by Senator Victor Umeh. I so second.
Those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Additional prayers, Senator Suleiman Omar Sadiq.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I am Sadiq Suleiman Umar. I represent the good and decent people of Kwara North. Mr. President, my additional prayer is that to urge the federal government to dredge and desilt all the riverine area banks within River Niger and River Benue, so as to install these perennial repeated disasters that we've been witnessing. Thank you.
A seconder, please. Senator Binos Daudearo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the additional prayer as moved. I so second.
Those in favor of the amendment, additional prayer, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.